Boy Titty, and I'm back again with another live, guys. And today's live is going to be on 5 wide receivers that I cannot stop drafting. Now, listen, I wanted to do rankings, but the reason why I'm not doing rankings, guys, is because some of the guys that's in my rankings, because I have to rank them there, I'm not drafting a lot of these guys. And I did a video earlier today. You probably know who some of those guys is, but Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase is not in this list. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you know that's a spoiler. They not in this list. So that's why I had to change the title to my favorite guys, because Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase are in my rankings. They are in my top five for as wide receivers. But far as my favorite guys that I cannot stop drafting, that I'm drafting in most of my drafts, that's a completely different list. So guys, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. This is cutting edge content. Okay. Let's get started. All right. So, guys, I'm not going to hold you up. I got to get to soccer practice. So, I'm going to go through these guys. As you come in, make sure you hit the like button. Also, put in the comments who are your top 5 wide receivers that you cannot stop drafting. Who are guys that you are fading this year at the wide receiver position? Okay. So, the first guy is easy. I'm not going to sit here and make this video long about Tyreek Hill. I'm taking Tyreek Hill #1 overall over CMC, over Breach, over anybody that most people are considering #1 outside of Tyreek. I'm taking Tyreek there. To me, the upside is crazy. They want this guy to go for 2K. I'm taking him. I could be biased because I've hit on this guy the last 2 to 3 years, but it doesn't matter. I'm still taking Tyreek Hill as my #1 wide receiver off the board, and he's also my favorite. I cannot stop drafting him. Moving on to my #2 guy. My #2 guy is going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown over Justin Jefferson, over Jamar Chase. I'm drafting Amon-Ra. He's very, very safe. He's going to get at least 160 targets. He had 120, 130 targets as a rookie. Then he went to 140. Then he went to 160. To me, it's going to be somewhere between 160 and 170 in targets this year. So I love Amon-Ra St. Brown, guys. Oh, let me see here. Looks like my live is fading in and out. Okay. So yeah, so let's move on. I'm moving on to my next guy. My next guy is gonna be Malik Nabers. Now listen, don't sit there and say I'm ranking Malik Nabers as #3 wide receiver. I'm not doing that. That's the guy that I'm drafting, and I can't stop drafting at the wide receiver position. So if I have to wait at the ADP that he's going, which is 3rd round, then that's what I'm doing before I take another wide receiver. Right? Just depends, right? So again, rankings and my favorite guys is 2 different things. A lot of you don't understand it. A lot of you are just going to draft whoever they tell you who's there, supposed to be there. So if somebody ranked Justin Jefferson as #1, you going to draft him, and you don't say, wow, he's ranked #1. Well, his quarterback, I don't care. He's ranked #1. He's ranked #1. I'm not drafting nobody just because where they ranked at. That's 2 different things. You got to rank the guys who's been balling out in the past. But far as who you're going to draft at a certain position this year, you got to be reading into the news, the beat writers, what's going on. You got to make it make sense. And to me, Amon-Ra St. Brown makes more sense than any other wide receiver, with his quarterback being healthy, the offensive line being elite, Jameson Williams getting better, the other wide receiver that they drafted in the 1st round, having a great run game, great continuity. I'm drafting Amon-Ra over Jamar Chase, who's missed a lot of weeks trying to wait on his contract. CeeDee Lamb missed a lot of weeks. Justin Jefferson, he's got Sam Darnold. Jordan Addison just went down. So I'm not drafting those guys with all those caveats around them when I got a guy like Amon-Ra, and it's almost a perfect situation for him. All right, and also Malik Nabers too. Now, you might say, well, Malik Nabers has a bad quarterback like Daniel Jones. Well, listen, guys, when you are elite like Malik Nabers and you're going to get all the targets, I'm okay with going down with a guy like that who has superior talent. So it just depends with the ADP too. I like it. Now, if he was a 1st-round wide receiver, I probably would be pivoting from him because I would be nervous with the Giants offense. But in the 3rd round, and you're going to be getting 10 to 12 targets a game, and you elite, Daniel Jones, he gonna push the ball to you no matter how good he is. I'm taking that. So let's move on to my #4 guy. My #4 guy is gonna be Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers. Yes, guys. Again, This is not rankings for anybody that just came in here. This is not rankings. These are my top 5 favorite wide receivers that I'm drafting at almost every single draft. Rankings are totally different than who you should take. And if you use your rankings to draft, you're going to draft guys off of last year. You have to draft guys who are projecting to move up, who has a sauce this year. You can't just draft off of last year results. And you have to make rankings off of last year. You can't just put a guy, like I can't put Malik Nabers as the #1 wide receiver just because I think he's very, very talented. He don't have the stats to put him there in the rankings. But as my favorite guy, he has all the cachet to be anywhere on my favorite list. So again, guys, Zay Flowers. Lamar Jackson, guys, is going to pass for 4,000 yards as a first-time passer in his career. So who's going to benefit from that? That's going to be Zay Flowers. That's going to be Rashad Bateman. That's going to be Isaiah Likely. And that's going to be Mark Andrews. Those are the wide receivers in this offense, so they're going to move up. Now, Mark Andrews, I think, is going to take a little bit of a target depreciation because of all the weapons that they got, and they more mature. But Mark Andrews is still going to get a lot of touchdowns in the red zone. So I still like Mark Andrews for 10 receiving touchdowns, but more on like 60 catches, not 75, 80 catches that he's been getting on like clockwork. So Zay Flowers, guys, they say if you go to Twitter, look at the beat writers, they talking about Zay Flowers nobody can stay in front of him. And I've told y'all, I think he has top 5 upside. I'm not saying that you draft him as a top 5 wide receiver, but top five upside, yes, he has that. And I'm drafting him. Nobody can stay in front of him. According to PFF, if you look at his route separation of man-to-man coverage, it's elite. It's elite. All right, guys, I got a bonus guy, so make sure you watch the whole live. I got a bonus guy for you. The next guy that I want to talk about is going to be Michael Pittman. Now, you want to say, well, Teddy, why are you on Michael Pittman over? Like, you don't got Justin Jefferson on this list? You don't got A.J. Brown on this list? No, I don't have those guys on my list because we know about those guys. I'm pivoting off some of those guys, not saying they suck, just I don't want them. Sometimes, guys, I don't know how to tell you this. A lot of you don't understand. A lot of you, everybody that they say is good, you want to draft them. You have to make a prerogative pick. Some guys, you got to say, look, I'm off of them. Why? I don't know, man. He's been doing really well, but the quarterback seems like he's not on the same page. Like, you got to, whatever reason you have a reason. Last year, I did not draft Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, and it helped me. Did I know that Jamar was going to have the season that he had? No, but I was like, I'm not picking them when I feel like they a one-trick pony. So I'm giving y'all the signs of how I'm making my list. But yes, going to Michael Pittman, AR has to have somebody who's going to get open. So what is he going to do, just run the ball, him and Jonathan Taylor every time? No, Michael Pittman's going to get a lot of one-on-one coverage because you're going to have to try to stop that run game. You cannot let Anthony Richardson go out the back door because that's what he's trying to do. If he get out the back door, he can take it 60 on you. This guy runs a 4.4, low 4.4, 250 pounds. This guy has a cannon arm, probably one of the strongest arms in the NFL, over Pat Mahomes. I'm not saying he's accurate as Pat Mahomes, but his arm strength is elite. So when Michael Pittman got that one-on-one, and they sitting there at the mesh point, him and Jonathan Taylor on a play action, if you one-on-one, he going to put it out there for Michael Pittman to jump ball you. And Michael Pittman is one of the best contested catch wide receivers in the league. And he's going to have one-on-one coverage 90% of the time off of play action. You're not going to be back in cover 4 trying to stop the Indianapolis Colts when you have Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor and a decent offensive line. So I love Michael Pittman for the one-on-one coverage and for this offense to break out because I like offenses where I know you have to stop the run. Detroit Lions was like that last year. A lot of people, I don't know about Amon-Ra, da-da-da-da-da-da. And you know why Amon-Ra was eating? Because they had to stop David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs and was one-on-one with Amon-Ra all the time. You could never double Amon-Ra. So you're not going to be able to double Michael Pittman because if you double Michael Pittman, they just going to run the ball down your throat, pause. Or also they might give it to A.D. Mitchell, or they might go and give it to Alec Pierce or Josh Downs when he's healthy. So that's how I see the scheme, and I love Michael Pittman this year to be even a better breakout than he was last year. All right, moving on, guys. Here's my bonus guy. My bonus guy is going to be Davante Adams. And the reason why I like Davante Adams, guys, even though the situation is not optimal, right? It's not that great, but he's the only guy. Brock Bowers is not going to lead this team in targets. Jacoby Myers is not going to lead this team in targets. It's going to be Davante Adams. And at his ADP going in the 4th round, I love that type of wide receiver. If I had to take him in the 1st or 2nd round, I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want him to be the only guy. So if Justin Jefferson being the only guy, if he was going in the 3rd round, I would say this is the best pick ever. But I like guys who's going to get hyper targeted, even though the targets can be trashy. I'm okay with them when it's like third round or fourth round. I'm okay with those guys. And I just let them have their big games when they have them. If they don't have a big game, that's okay. I got other players that I drafted on my team. So, guys, I just want y'all to let y'all know these are my favorite wide receivers that I'm drafting right now after assessing the preseason and also just going off what was trending. Right now, Tyreek Hill, he does have like a cast on his hand, but they're just for precautionaries. I still love Tyreek Hill. I love Amon-Ra, one of the safest wide receivers. Malik Nabers, to me, is going to get all the targets on this team. Very, very athletic. We just need to make sure he stays healthy because he's going to get plenty of targets. Zay Flowers is going to be part of a 4,000-yard passing breakout season from Lamar. That's why they brought in the passing coordinator for the Georgia. I can't think of his name right now, but that's why they brought him in. They wanted Lamar to pass the ball more. And Michael Pittman, he's going to get one-on-one coverage. They paid him last year. Why? Because they know Anthony Richardson was going to need somebody to be targeted, and he's going to be that guy. No double coverage for Michael Pittman when you got Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor in the backfield. And Davante Adams. Yes, it's not a great quarterback situation. No, it's not a great situation where if the passing game, but when you have a great run game and teams are going to try to put 8 in the box to stop it, Davante's going to have one-on-one. And going in the third and fourth round, I love that. He can be my wide receiver too. Okay, so let's get to a couple of these questions before I get out of here. The Rose says, Chase, Nabers, Higgins, I can't stop. So he's drafting a lot of Jamar Chase, a lot of Nabers, and a lot of Higgins. I agree with Nabers, Higgins, and Chase. Man, I'm nervous about that offense. I think this offense could be elite. Joe Burrow is him when he's healthy. I'm just nervous. I need to see Burrow healthy. I want to see Chase healthy. I want to see Chase practicing. And then I'll start moving and start drafting. If I have to trade for these guys, I might have to do that because I might not draft them. I need to see Chase out there practicing and getting work, and seeing Joe Burrow out there practicing and getting work. He says in London and Olave, yes, and you know I'm not high on Olave for a lot of reasons. London, I'm still a little bit nervous about him too. I don't know about Kirk Cousins, so look, that could be, man. London could go off as a top 5 wide receiver. I just need to see Kirk Cousins come out there and target him a couple games. David, what's up, bruh? He says, you have spaghetti on your head, right? I do, bruh. It's the dreads. Ethan says, yesterday there was a draft with some guys from this channel, and I got Amon-Ra, Lamar, Ayuk, Zay Flowers, Derrick Henry, James Cook, Kittle in the 11th, Zamir, Gus Edwards. It was a good draft with good teams, right, man? You killed it. Amon-Ra, Lamar, Ayuk, Zay, Derrick Henry, James Cook. I love that team. That's a great team. Matt says, geek glasses. I don't got them today, bruh. I'm not geek enough to be in the geek club. Main, what's up? He says, how do you feel about Keon Coleman or Jackson Smith-Njigba? I'm taking Keon Coleman in the 6th round, 7th round as a wide receiver, as a wide receiver 3 or 4, and whatever happens, happen. I'm definitely stashing him. I don't stash a lot of wide receivers, but he and Lab McConkey is one of the guys that I'm stashing, and I will draft Jackson Smith-Njigba too at the right ADP. They're going to pass the ball a lot this year. Geno going to be throwing the ball a lot. So I do like Jackson Smith-Njigba over Tyler Lockett. I think it's going to be a DK Jackson Smith-Njigba. That's why I'm fading Kenneth Walker early, like in the 3rd round. Ronald says, hi, how you feeling about Pickens? Man, if Justin Fields starts, I love Pickens. But if he don't, I don't know what Russell's going to do with Pickens. Maybe Pickens is all right. Maybe Pickens is going to be the only player on that team that you can play. I don't know. I do like Pickens. I say draft him, but just know that he might not start off fast. He might start off slow, right? Kind of like CeeDee Lamb did last year. I'm not saying he's going to finish like CeeDee, but he might start slow like CeeDee. So I'm still drafting Pickens, but it's got to be the right ADP. There's no bad players. It's all about ADP value. David Alexander says, thoughts on Davante Adams. Yes, I broke down Davante Adams earlier. He was my bonus player. I like Davante Adams. He's going to get all the targets. They're not going to be great targets, but he's going to get all of them. And he's going in like the 3rd or 4th round, bro. That's killer value. So whatever happens, it doesn't matter. So you got to draft him at that opportunity cost where you can get a guy who's going to get, 140 targets, 130 targets, and he could be a top 12 wide receiver in the 3rd or 4th round with his pedigree. Oh, I'm taking that. Now, if he was in the 1st round or early 2nd, I would say don't do it. But the end of the third and fourth, I think this is great value. Devontae Adams is one of the best ADP values in the league at this point in time right now with the targets that he's going to get. Rami says, hit the like button, folks. Yes, sir. Let's get the likes up. Harami says, double tap the screen, and then the like button will come up. Thank you, Harami. Ronald says, got you. You think Diggs can be the wide receiver one in H-Town? Bruh, I don't know. To me, man, if you put a gun to my head and ask me, and you said, well, you got to take a player off that team, I probably would take Tank. I think Nico could be the stereotypical number one. Like, I think he could lead the team in targets. Bruh, it's a lot of mouths to feed. To me, I'd just rather have CJ Stroud. That way I can get all the points. And if I had to, I would take Tank Dale because his ADP is the farthest down out of those other two guys, like Nico and Stephon Diggs. So I'd rather take Tank. Ethan says, thoughts on Jalen Hyatt? I think he's a great number 2 stash wide receiver. In redraft, I would say he could be your last player drafted or second to last player drafted and just see what happens. And if Daniel Jones start playing well, you got him. If Daniel Jones playing bad, then you can move on and pick up another wide receiver. I wouldn't count on him to be special, but I definitely would buy low on him in Dynasty for like a 4th round pick. I would spend a 4th round pick and buy low on Jalen Hyatt and stash him because that speed is unreal. They do want to push the ball down the field this year. They didn't push the ball down the field last year. So Jalen Hyatt will be getting a lot of good targets deep. Can Daniel Jones complete them? We're going to have to wait and see. Ethan says, Nico Collins, I think, will be the best, but Tank is the better value. And that's what it's about, the better value. I'm not just going on a 3-head offense, pause. I'm just not going to draft the guy who I think is going to be best at the 3rd ADP when it's a lot of mouths to feed. I'm not doing that. But if I can get the guy later who has a chance to be the best, I think that's the best way to go either way. But I believe I wouldn't be surprised. Bro, I'm not going to be. Would I be surprised a little bit if Stephon Diggs comes in here and lead this team in passing? Yes. In receiving? Yes, I would be surprised. Nico, I'm not going to be surprised. Tank, I won't be surprised. Would I be surprised if Stephon Diggs have a couple big weeks? No, I would not be surprised. I'd just rather go down with Tank because of the value. If something doesn't happen, I'm okay. I only invested in Tank. Ronald, he says, where do you have Dak finishing this year? I have Dak finishing as a top 12 quarterback. I'm not drafting a lot of Dak, but that doesn't mean that I didn't draft a lot of Dak last year, and look what he ended up doing. So just because I'm not drafting the guy doesn't mean that they're not going to perform. Always go down with your prerogative picks. Now, I'm going to give my opinion on them, just like you're going to have my opinion on my players, and that's fine. But I'm not drafting Dak because it seems like it's only CeeDee Lamb or bust. Rico Dowdle, I'm drafting him because he's going to have an opportunity, but outside of Rico Dowdle and Jake Ferguson, who else they going to go to other than CeeDee? And Jake is a tight end. So I'm just not high on Dak. I don't think he's a bad pick. I'm just not drafting him early. But hey, I think he deserves to be ranked in your top 5. CHB says, we live, bro. Yes, sir. He says, thoughts on Malik Washington, Dolphins legend. I think they drafted him to learn on guys like Waddle and Tyreek. And eventually he's going to be part of that speed demon offense. This is a very creative, very thought process type team that Mike McDaniels built. He wanted a speed demon team to go with Tua. And I think it's going to work. So that's why if you don't run a 4-4, you can't get on this team unless you're going to play the slot like Odell. Odell's such a great route runner. It's going to help everybody else out. And it's also going to teach Waddle them how to run routes. Odell's going to give Waddle them some pointers, and also Malik Washington. So if you're on this offense, man, you got a chance to be special. That's all I can say. CHB says, serious dude remind me of Steve Smith Sr. Wow, to say he remind you of that. Steve Smith Sr., man, is a monster. To me, he's top 10 wide receivers of all time. Great blocker, great jump ball. Steve Smith didn't have a weakness in his game, other than you could say that he was a short wide receiver, and that doesn't matter, right? So, Steve Smith, that's a big name, bro, to say he's like. Ryan Chase, what's up, Ryan? What's going on, bro? He said, do you like Jamar Chase or St. Brown? I like St. Brown. I'm big time on St. Brown. Jamar Chase is special, but St. Brown is the most inconsistent, probably, player in fantasy. He's going to get at least 160 plus targets, at least. Brandon Foster, what's up? He says they going to sign CD. Yeah, but he gonna have to take less money. They're not gonna play him Justin Jefferson money. I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan, and I don't want to give him Justin Jefferson money. I like him. I want him on the team. I think he should get like Amon-Ra St. Brown's money, not Justin Jefferson money. Ethan says, I honestly am investing in some Giants guys because, like, just like Devontae and Deontay Johnson, someone needs to get the ball. You right, bruh? And I think someone will have a special year. Maybe Nabers. I don't know who, but someone will. I agree. Everybody, just because you're on a trashy team don't mean you trashy. Because your girl lived in a downtrodden neighborhood don't mean she ain't nothing, right? It doesn't matter. There's still special people on with bad situations. I believe Nabers is one of those type of people or players. Harami says Wandale is set to have a nice PPR year from the slot, in my opinion. Focus on Maliki Freaky. I think Malik's going to take some targets away from Wandale. I think Wandale will be okay, but I think they're going to move Malik in the slot to get some of Wandale targets. But I do like Wandale. He is on a lot of my dynasty teams. Am I going to start him in redraft? Probably not until I see him being consistent. CHB says, pay the man what CD is owed. Right, and I think he's owed Amon-Ra money, not Justin Jefferson money. Ethan says, who is someone you just don't believe the hype for me? Is it Travis Etienne? No, I love Travis Etienne. I think Travis Etienne is going to catch 70 to 80 passes this year. A guy who is someone you just don't believe the hype. He said for me it's Travis. I love Travis Etienne, but somebody that I just don't believe the hype. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see here. Marvin Harrison Jr. I think he's going to be I think he got a chance to be a top 12 wide receiver, but I don't think he's going to be a top 5 wide receiver. So that Marvin Harrison Jr. would be a guy that I would say I just don't believe the hype. I don't think he's top 5. That's why I'm choosing Malik. It's not just I think Malik is a better overall player than Marvin Harrison, which I do think slightly because of athletic ability, but it's opportunity cost. I can get Malik Nabers in the 3rd round. I have to get Marvin Harrison Jr. in the 1st or early 2nd. That's too much for me for a rookie. It's just too much for me. Sorry, I'm still hyped from the caffeine. You good, bruh? JJ Money. Harami says Olave. Okay. Yeah, that's a guy, but I mean, everybody know how I feel about Olave. The self-proclaimed wise man. The self-proclaimed wise man. He says, is Brock Purdy top 7? Yes, in rankings, but I'm not drafting him as a top 7 quarterback. I'm not drafting Brock Purdy, man. I'm nervous about Brock Purdy. That's a good question. I'm not drafting Brock Purdy. I'm very nervous about Brock Purdy. I think he's a good, like a. I would call a game. I think he's he's the elite game manager, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I believe that when you got good weapons around him, this man is very intelligent. He's one of the most intelligent quarterbacks in the league, and he can get the ball. He can distribute it like a great point guard. That maybe they can't shoot that great, but he's great. He know he's going to be smart. He's not going to have a lot of turnovers. But when they play top end competition on the defensive side, Brock Purdy struggles. He struggled against Baltimore. He struggled in the playoffs a little bit. I'm nervous about Brock Purdy. I wouldn't take him as a fantasy quarterback, but a real life quarterback, he's very good. Fantasy, I will like more upside. Even though he got George Kittle and Debo and Ayuk, I still wouldn't draft him. There's too many other good quarterbacks out there. I'd rather have Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff over Purdy. Eden said, do you think this is one of the worst running back years? No, I do not. I think it's actually one of the safest running back years. There's so many running backs that can play, so many committees that you are going to be safe. Look for the boom at the wide receiver position and try to get somebody who's going to be good for you at the running back where they're getting the goal line touches. I'm not looking for nobody that's getting CMC touches. I'm looking for somebody who's getting CMC touches at the goal line. Ethan says, if Olave go off, the role will be here every day talking on here how we were wrong. I agree. You know it, Ethan, and I don't blame him. I don't blame him. Okay, if I agree with you on him being an elite game manager 3 years in, what's his ceiling? Winning 2 Super Bowls and just getting the bag and never being the highest paid quarterback, but getting several really good bags. I say his ceiling, as you want to rank him in fantasy, top 5, top 7, like you said, somewhere around there. I don't think he's never going to be the number 2 or number 1 quarterback in most scoring formats. Jorgos, I'm sorry if I'm killing your name, man. Casey, I'm glad to see you here. He says, yo, so someone giving me Gus Edwards, Sutton, and Swift for James Cook. What you think? I would keep the Gus Edwards, Sutton, and Swift side over James Cook. James Cook is not enough to go get him by himself. He says, or do I go for a better deal? I think you get a better deal. Appreciate you being here, Joe Goes. Sorry if I'm killing your name, bro. TB says, Amari Cooper or Chris Godwin. That's a good one, man. That's a tomato. I go with Chris Godwin in full PPR. Amari Cooper, I might go with him in half-point PPR. But I'm definitely going with Chris Godwin in full PPR. And I say Chris Godwin overall. He's just slightly. I love Amari Cooper. He's the number 1 for Cleveland. But Godwin's going to be hyper-targeted underneath in the slot. Yes, wide receiver is deep this year. There's a lot of players to pick up this year, man. Fantasy, even at running back and tight end. You can wait late and win championships this year. It's value all over the board. Anytime, Jorgos, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to this channel. This is cutting edge content. Big Will says, what up, TD? I've been thinking about a strategy you talked about in a previous live, taking a quarterback late. Right. I've been thinking about waiting on Caleb and Stafford and Goff while I stack my team. That's it. There you go, Big Will. That's it. Go get Caleb. Go get Stafford. Go get Goff. I agree. I'm not, man, listen, I love Lamar. I haven't drafted Lamar a lot this year because I'm like, man, there's too much value to be taking Lamar early. It's just too much. I love Matthew Stafford. I know he's a little bit volatile with his health, but I also love Goff. I love Caleb Williams. I like Jordan Love. I like Bo Nix. I do like Bo Nix. I think you can even wait late and get Bo Nix. So I agree, bro. All right, guys. Well, listen, I'm gonna get out of here. Maybe I'll do another live later when I get back from soccer practice. But I appreciate everybody tuning in. Y'all be safe. And if you have any opinions or hey, TD, do the video on this. Let me know, guys. I know we are in the heat of fantasy. Also, guys, I got that draft guide. Let me know. Hit me up if you want that draft guide. If you need a consultation, I got all of that. Whatever you need, guys, just hit me up at fantasygoodesports@gmail.com. Also, if you are a member, you get half off, not half off, but you get a percentage off on most things. But if you're a Phenom member, you get a lot of free stuff too. Ethan says, facts, waiting is the best strategy unless Lamar hurts or AR fall to you like in the 5th or 6th. In single quarterback leagues, yes. I am taking AR5 in some leagues when Lamar is already gone for the value. Right. Even though I know he could get hurt. I'm okay with that. All right, guys, y'all be safe. See y'all later. Peace.